Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
April 3, 2020, the Trump Bailout edition. First up, from the New York Times, the Trump companies seek to ease their financial crunch as the coronavirus apparently takes its toll even on Trump properties. The Trump family is looking for financial considerations from landlords, business partners, and no doubt they'll be seeking it from the government as well. Representatives of the Trump company have recently spoken with Deutsche Bank, the president's largest creditor, about the possibility of postponing payments on some of its loans. It's unclear whether the bank will grant this. Obviously, the bank's in a pretty much no-win situation. If they grant Trump's request, they look like they're sucking up to the president for political gain, to be treated more favorably by his Department of Justice. No doubt he would order them to lay off the bank. And if they foreclose on Trump properties, well, then you foreclosed on the president. So Deutsche Bank put itself in this position, and now it's going to have to deal with it. Next up, SEC Chairman Jay Clayton signals sympathy for pleas of private equity-backed firms. For a commissioner, or rather the head of the SEC, who is supposed to protect investors in public companies, he wants private investors to have access to small lending programs. Federal regulations have made it harder with companies with private equity to qualify as small business because they are controlled by a single or one investor. And he, of course, wants to lessen this so he can take money from public companies and move it to private equity companies. Next up, in a really different direction, as reported in the Wall Street Journal, the Federal Trade Commission is suing Altria to unwind its $12.8 billion investment in Juul Labs. That's the vaping company, accusing the Marlboro maker of violating federal antitrust laws when it took a stake in the e-cigarette maker. Big Tobacco at one point saw vaping as its future, and so it moved to purchase Juul Labs, which was at the time the largest vaping company. After that, Juul Labs, it turned out, had fraudulently made representations to various U.S. government agencies about the nature of the addictive nature of their product, and the value took a huge drop. So it's not clear immediately whether Altria will be amenable to this from the SEC, but the FTC rather said Altria's acquisition was an unreasonable restraint of trade and substantially lessened competition. So Altria took a big write-down in its stake of Juul, valuing the e-cigarette maker at $12 billion, down from a $38 billion valuation. And finally, from the Wall Street Journal, there are 6 Citgo executives who are in jail in Venezuela, and their families are concerned that due to overcrowding and their treatment in the Venezuelan jail, they'll be exposed to the coronavirus and not receive proper medical care. They were ordered to go to Venezuela by Citgo's parent, PDVSA, and immediately arrested by the government on completely trumped-up charges, or actually no charges. The Trump administration has done boo to get them out, so they've been sitting down. These are American citizens, which the Trump administration has let cool their heels in a Venezuelan jail while the U.S. spars with Venezuela going forward. I am proud to announce a new podcast premiering this week on the Compliance Podcast Network. It's Compliance and Coronavirus. I wanted to bring some clarity and sanity to the compliance practitioner around coronavirus. So for the next foreseeable future, at least 8 weeks, I'll be podcasting Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of each week on a topic related to coronavirus, COVID-19. Check it out with the Daily Compliance News.